He begged and gained access, as by now he was known at the abbey. But the affrighted nun who opened the gate, pale and tight-lipped, gasped and made the sign of the cross before fainting, legs buckling to the ground. He splashed cold water in her face to revive her, whilst calling for help. Other nuns came running, and one screamed at the sight of the donkey's burden. At last, an authoritative voice rang out, "Girl, lead the donkeys to the chapel. Wash and tend to the bodies, ready for a funeral and burial." How grateful he was for her sensible, calming presence. She was a prioress, and surveying Folcwin, she scowled at the sword hanging by his side. "These are troubled times, mother. Vikings roam the land. They robbed the lives of those poor innocent bairns. Someone has to stop them." "A warrior monk? Well, I never." But her tight smile and the appellation pleased him greatly. "And a scribe," he said, glancing anxiously after the donkey. "Excuse me, mother, I must retrieve the codex I brought for your abbess. I also seek an audience with her when she has time to receive me." "Oh, she will see you as soon as she learns of your presence, Brother Folcwin. I scarcely recognize you with that blackened face. She speaks of little else other than the codex these days. But hasten along and fetch it from your saddlebag. See, my sisters have taken the weight off the animal's back. Let us go together." "Your name, prioress?" "I am Sister Hildegard. As you say, prioress. Take the donkey to the stables, sister, after Brother Folcwin has removed what serves him." "Thank you, Prioress Hildegard." With great curiosity, she watched him remove a cloth bag, with drawstring tied in a bow closing it. The form inside the linen sack was that of a book. Her eyes strayed to the body of the nobleman, and the blood drained from her face. She gasped and swayed, and Folcwin reached to hold her to prevent her from collapsing. An inappropriate but necessary gesture as she clung to his strong arm. "What ails you, mother?" "Ah, it's my brother," she wailed, clinging tightly to him. "It's Beowulf, Ealdorman of Heim. That's his sword, isn't it? I should have recognized it." "I will surrender it to you, prioress. It belongs to your family." He said this at great cost, with sorrow in his heart. "Nay, Folcwin, it is no use to us. I make a gift of it to you. Wield it to avenge my poor brother." She said this in a harsh, sorrowful tone, tinged with bitterness. "Aye, that I will, I swear it." "I bless you, brother, for bringing Beowulf here for burial. He is a donor to this house and will be accorded a tomb in the crypt." She looked up into his face, smiled sadly, and as if remembering herself, released her grip on his arm. Luckily, Folcwin, and nobody else, for that matter, could intrude on her innermost thoughts. But if she could have sinned with the handsome, iron-muscled warrior monk, she would have done so. In consternation, she reminded herself God could read her thoughts, so she wept for shame. Folcwin, believing the weeping to be for her brother, sought to comfort her with quotes from the Bible. She nodded and smiled bravely through her tears. "Come, brother. We must away to Abbess Aelfwynn, whose joy at the codex will raise our low spirits." She set off at a surprisingly brisk pace, and Folcwin had to stride to keep up with her. With the same vim, she knocked on the abbess's door and, at the muffled command, threw it open vigorously. "Brother Folcwin has come with the codex, mother." The face of the abbess flushed with anger.
"What is the meaning of this, Brother Folcwin? How dare you come into my presence with a weapon at your side?"
With your permission, mother, I can explain." Prioress Hildegard came to his aid. At a sour nod from her superior, the prioress hurried into an account of the death of her brother, the origins and gift of the sword, and even took the blame on herself by saying, "My fault, mother. I rushed the brother to you without thinking, not even giving him time to wash his face. May God forgive me. I thought you'd be eager to see the codex."
"As, of course, I am. I thank you, Brother Folcwin, for your thoughtfulness in bringing poor Lord Beowulf and the little children to us. We will hold a funeral service for them anon. You will attend, but leave your sword outside the chapel."
It was not a request.
"Aye, mother, forgive me."
He touched the hilt with an apologetic expression.
"It is of no importance under the circumstances. Now, to the codex. But first—"
She jangled a small brass handbell, and a nun came into the room to receive instructions for organizing the funeral. When the sister had bustled away, he untied and slackened the drawstrings, taking out the yellow leather volume, with satisfaction observing the eyes widen and the expression of joy illuminate the elderly superior's face.
"Look, sister, how St. Mildred steps out of the oven with the radiant countenance of one who trusts in the Lord. Oh, very well done, brother."
The two women continued in this vein until they came to the miracle of the candle, the last illustration.
"Ah, the devil!"
The Mother Superior crossed herself. "But see how the fiend is defeated by the seraph in Mildred's rapt presence," stated the prioress flatly. Folcwin, for the second time that afternoon, appreciated her unflappable, calming character. Receiving many accolades, he modestly played them down but inwardly rejoiced at the lavish praise. The solemn tolling of the death knell led them outdoors to the funeral. The abbess, herself, given the demise of an important patron, would conduct the service. Folcwin hurried over to the nearby fountain, unbuckled his sword, and stood the scabbard against the wall beside the carved lion's head. There was no safer place than a nunnery to leave a weapon unattended. Rapidly, he rinsed the soot from his face and used his sleeve to dry himself. The essence of the service passed him by as if in a dream. His attention was elsewhere. As soon as he had settled on a pew, as instructed by Prioress Hildegard, next to her, he spotted Imelda in the choir. The prioress, for her part, believed that her stern presence would obviate the distraction caused among the younger sisters by the disquieting figure of the handsome monk. As for him, his wandering eye strayed no farther than the face of his beloved. The funeral passed with him noting every nuance of her features, and ridiculously, only in his imagination, he believed he could distinguish her sweet singing of the Requiem Mass from the other voices. As usually happens, when the eyes of someone are fixed on another, the object of the stare senses it, and so, at a certain point, Imelda's eyes met his. He gloried in their beauty, but she flushed and they switched rapidly to the prioress to see whether she had noticed. She had not, and Imelda relaxed, lowering her head and concentrating on the service, ready to sing again but conscious of his eyes upon her.